The day I planned to tell my family the truth about my career was supposed to be the happiest day of my life, my wedding day. Instead, it became the day they showed their true colors. For 10 years, they thought I was just Emma Parker, their adopted daughter working a simple office job in New York. They never knew I was actually Emma Chen, the youngest CEO in Silicon Valley's history, leading one of the world's most innovative tech companies. I'd kept my success secret for years, watching how they treated me versus my real sister, Olivia. While they paid for her multiple failed business ventures and luxury apartments, I was told to be grateful they'd taken me in at all. A ceremony was beautiful, held at the Ritz-Carlton, though I told them it was a lucky contest win. My fiancé, David, knew the truth about my identity and supported my decision to keep it hidden until after our vows. "Let them see you as you are," he'd said, "when they can't pretend it's about the money." I should have known Olivia wouldn't let me have even one day of happiness. Just as the minister asked if anyone objected, her voice rang out through the chapel. "I object." Olivia stood up, designer dress rustling. "This whole wedding is a lie. She's not even really part of our family." The guests started whispering. My heart stopped. "She's adopted," Olivia continued, her voice dripping with venom. "Mom and Dad took her in out of pity when she was abandoned. Now she's trying to pretend she's good enough for a family like David's." I looked at my parents, waiting for them to stop her. Instead, Mom was nodding along while Dad stared at his shoes. "It's true," Mom stood up. "We've been too kind, letting her pretend she belongs. David, dear, you should know what you're getting into. No real family, probably inherited bad genes." David squeezed my hand, ready to defend me, but I touched his arm gently. This was my moment. "You're right," I said quietly, my voice carrying in the stunned silence. "I'm not family. I never was." "Emma," Dad finally spoke, "don't make a scene. Maybe it's better if you just leave. You're embarrassing us." I looked at these people who I'd tried so hard to please. Mom in her expensive dress I'd secretly paid for. Dad wearing the Rolex I'd won in another contest. Olivia dripping in jewelry bought with my anonymous gifts. "Okay," I said calmly. "I'll leave." "Emma, no." David started, but I squeezed his hand. "Trust me," I whispered. Olivia smirked triumphantly as I walked down the aisle alone. The whispers followed me. Poor adopted girl. No real family. Not good enough. If they only knew. The next morning, as I sat in my real office on the 50th floor of Chen Technologies headquarters, my assistant brought in the morning papers. My wedding disaster was front-page news, but not for the reasons my family expected. TC billionaires we dying interrupted by Fanny Louise Schothking sea lames. The story broke exactly as planned. My PR team had been ready, waiting for just this moment. Within hours, every major news outlet had the full story. How I'd built Chen Technologies from a dorm room startup into a $50 billion company. How I'd kept my success secret while watching my adopted family's true nature emerge. How they belittled and dismissed me even while living off my anonymous generosity. My phone started ringing at 6 a.m. Mom first, then Dad, then Olivia. Dozens of messages. "There must be a mistake. We need to talk. You don't understand." I let them all go to voicemail. At 9 a.m. sharp, as I'd instructed, they were escorted into my office by security. Their faces when they saw me behind the massive desk, Chen Technologies logo gleaming on the wall behind me, were worth every second of the past 10 years. "Welcome to my real office," I said calmly. "Please sit down. We have a lot to discuss." Mom's hands were shaking. "Emma, sweetie, we can explain." "Explain what?" I pulled out a folder. "How you took millions in anonymous donations from me while telling everyone I was a charity case. How you funded Olivia's 5 failed businesses with my money while telling me I wasn't ambitious enough. That money was from a family trust." Olivia protested. "No," I slid the documents across the desk. "It was from me. Every penny. The trust fund was empty years ago. Dad's bad investments took care of that. I've been supporting this family since I was 24. Dad's face went pale. "But your job, that tiny apartment." A cover. "I wanted to see how you treat me without knowing my real worth. You exceeded my lowest expectations. You tricked us," Olivia shrieked. "Pretended to be poor." "No," I corrected her. "I simply let you show me who you really are. And now?" I pressed a button on my desk phone. "Send them in, please." David walked in with my legal team. My family's faces lit up, probably hoping he'd defend them. Instead, he took his place beside me, his hand on my shoulder. "The wedding will proceed next month," I announced. "A private ceremony. You're not invited." "But we're family?" Mom wailed. "No," I said softly. "You made it very clear yesterday that we're not. And now it's time to discuss the consequences of your choices." Security was already waiting to escort them out, but as they gathered their designer bags and wiped their tears, they had no idea that this was just the beginning. Tomorrow, they'd learn exactly what it meant to lose the daughter they never thought was worth keeping. And I had a wedding to replan. One worthy of who I really was, not who they'd always claimed I had to be. The media storm that followed was exactly what my PR team had predicted. TC Titan's FAMILY drama dominated headlines for weeks. Every major network wanted an exclusive on the adopted daughter turned secret billionaire. But I had other priorities. First was damage control, not for my family's reputation, but for my company. I built Chen Technologies on innovation and integrity. I wouldn't let this drama affect our stock price or employee morale. The morning after my family's office visit, I called an all-hands meeting. You've probably seen the news. I addressed my employees directly. Yes, I kept my personal life private. No, this won't affect our company's direction or stability. And yes, the coffee in the break room is still free. That got a laugh. I'd always believed in treating employees like family, real family, not the kind I'd grown up with. My actual work family had my back. By noon, #StandWithEmma was trending, with thousands of tech workers sharing stories about my leadership and kindness. Former interns posted about how I personally mentored them. Engineers talked about my hands-on approach to problem solving. It was the opposite of what Olivia and my parents had expected. They thought the scandal would ruin me. Instead, it humanized me. The adopted girl who built an empire while staying humble. It was a story people loved. But my family wasn't done trying. They showed up at my apartment building first, the modest one I used as cover. The doorman, who'd always known my real identity, turned them away. They tried my office next. Security had their photos. They didn't make it past the lobby. Then came the emails, hundreds of them. "Mom, we raised you. How can you be so ungrateful?" "Dad, your mother's having anxiety attacks. Is this what you want?" "Olivia, you think you're better than us just because you got lucky in tech." I had my assistant forward them all to my legal team. Evidence, because what they didn't know was that I'd been documenting everything for years. Every dismissive comment, every financial request, every time they'd taken credit for my anonymous gifts while simultaneously putting me down. A week after the failed wedding, my lawyers sent them each a thick envelope. Inside was a detailed accounting of every penny I'd given them over the years. The houses, the cars, the vacations, the failed businesses. All of it with accrued interest, now due immediately. They couldn't pay, of course. They'd spent it all, believing the money would never end. That's when phase 2 began. The family trust they claimed to live off. I revealed it had been empty for years, exposing Dad's embezzlement from his own parents. Olivia's successful business ventures that she bragged about at parties. Tax records showed they were shells, propped up by my money. Mom's charity board positions. The other members quickly asked her to resign when they learned she'd been taking credit for anonymous donations, my donations, while pocketing some of the funds. Their society friends abandoned them. Country club memberships were revoked. Credit cards were declined. Within a month, they were selling their assets just to pay their debts. That's when David's family stepped in. I'd always wondered why David, from old money himself, had supported my charade. Over dinner at his parents' estate, I found out. "We've known who you were for years," his mother admitted. When David told us he was dating Emma Chen, we did our research. But we saw how you lived modestly, how you treated others. That told us more about your character than any bank balance could. David squeezed my hand. "That's why I never pushed you to reveal yourself. You needed to see who loved Emma Parker before they knew about Emma Chen." My new wedding was planned for exactly 1 month after the disaster of the first one. This time, no expense was spared. The guest list included tech innovators, global philanthropists, and true friends who'd known my secret and kept it. The morning of the wedding, I received a text from Olivia. "You've made your point. We're family. You can stop punishing us now." I showed it to David, who understood without words. He called his assistant while I finished my makeup. An hour before the ceremony, as guests were being seated at the Four Seasons, my family made one last desperate attempt. They arrived in their finest remaining clothes, designer knockoffs now, claiming to be the bride's parents. Security escorted them not out, but to a small side room where a TV was playing a live stream of another wedding, taking place at the modest local church where my first ceremony had been interrupted. A look-alike bride and groom, hired actors, were playing out exactly the wedding they'd ruined. They could watch just as they'd forced me to watch their cruelty that day. My real ceremony was beautiful. Tech royalty mixed with old money. Reporters covered it respectfully from a distance. David's parents beamed from the front row. During the reception, my assistant handed me a note. My family had sat through the entire fake ceremony, slowly realizing they weren't even worth inviting to the real one. "Your revenge is complete," David murmured as we danced, ready to let it go. I smiled, thinking of the final part of my plan. Almost. The next day, as we left for our honeymoon, my lawyers delivered 3 more envelopes. Inside each was a check, enough to live modestly for 1 year, and a business proposal. Real jobs, entry-level positions at subsidiaries of Chen Technologies. No nepotism, no shortcuts. A chance to earn their own way if they were willing to work for it. They'd have to use different last names, of course. Parker was my past. Chen was my future. Mom and Dad never cashed their checks or showed up for their interviews. Their pride wouldn't let them start over. But Olivia surprised everyone. 6 months later, my assistant forwarded me a performance review. Olivia Parker, now going by Olivia Grant, was excelling as a junior sales rep at one of our smallest offices. Her manager noted her hard work and humility. "Should we tell her it's your company?" my assistant asked. "No," I replied, thinking of the lesson it had taken me years to learn. Let her earn it. David and I returned from our honeymoon to a new home and a new life. Chen Technologies continued to thrive. The scandal became a footnote, then a legend in Silicon Valley. These days, when people ask about my family, I tell them the truth. Family isn't about blood or adoption papers. It's about who stands by you, who celebrates your success without trying to take credit for it, who loves you as you are, not for what you can give them. My parents still send birthday cards to my office, filled with apologies and excuses. They go straight to the archive, evidence of who they really are, in case they ever try to rewrite history again. The society magazines love to note the irony. The unwanted adopted daughter became the one thing her family always wanted to be, truly successful. But I know the real irony. In trying to prove I wasn't family, they proved they never deserved to be mine. As for me, I'm too busy building things to worry about what they think anymore. Companies, technologies, real relationships. After all, I'm Emma Chen, and I have work to do. P.S. Last week, Olivia earned her first promotion. She did it entirely on merit, never knowing she was working for her sister's company. Sometimes the best revenge isn't destruction. It's giving someone a chance to become better than they were, even if they never know who gave them that chance.